Hello, and welcome back to the Let Me Add to That podcast. My name is Elizabeth Graswich, Executive Director of Public Affairs and Communications at the Los Angeles County Office of Education. We are the largest regional education agency in the United States. We serve 80 school districts and nearly 2 million children. We are excited to use this platform to take a deep dive into the conversations surrounding our students and schools in LA County. Welcome back to the Let Me Add to That podcast. This month we are celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Did you know it is celebrated in May for several reasons? This includes May commemorates the first Japanese immigrants in the U.S. in 1843, and it was chosen to remember the Chinese immigrant contribution to the first transcontinental railroad in America from May 1843 to May 1869. Today, we have three amazing people who are part of this beautiful, diverse community to share a little bit about their experiences. First, we have the Los Angeles County Office of Education Board President, Dr. Yvonne Chan. Welcome, Dr. Chan.
It's good to be here.
Great to have you. And joining her, we have two incredible students, twin brothers, Kevin and Kenneth San from Alhambra High School from Alhambra Unified School District. Kevin and Kenneth are known by the LA County education community for dominating the academic decathlon with leading scores and perfect scores. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thank you. It's our pleasure to be here.
We love having you join us today. So we will begin with Dr. Chan. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience and journey as an Asian American?
Wow, that's been so many years ago when I landed in San Francisco. So you're looking at, I think my experiences are full of, I will call it bitter and sweet. So yes, I'm 17 years old. I came here on a boat, very slow boat from China, alone, $100 in the pocket. So you would imagine I would be a teenage full of fear but meanwhile full of hope, because I was heading to the land of the brave. So I would say almost 40, or let me say 50 years over this experience and journey in the United States. I would say yes, United States really is a land of opportunities. And I can share basically three experiences about bittersweet, okay? So first one is, while I was, working among farm workers north of Fresno, picking fruits and grapes, and instead of feeling sorry about myself, guess what? I learned Spanish. And I learned how to harvest. But most importantly, I really inherited what they call the gana, si se puedes, As I climb those ladders and picking the fruits, and I know that I will climb that ladder socially and educationally. Then the second example was, while I was a struggling student at UCLA, starving, because you just don't have the means to pay foreign students tuition. And also, I would say, very, very sleepy and tired, because most of us had to work 40 hours a week. So, but the group of struggling Asian American students at UCLA, and guess what we did? We challenged Paramount Studio. Paramount Studio in Hollywood?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're talking about Hollywood. And we challenged them to cast us in movies and TVs as Asian extras instead of using non-Asian. Well, because we certainly look more Asian in those Asian movies than, let me say, someone had to say like Liz, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they actually save money in makeups, honestly. And that really gave me the sweetness of my identity. Working through a movie and being Asian, when I am an Asian, So my third experience I would like to share is while I was teacher, school principal at Los Angeles Unified School District, big district. But Asian Americans, especially women, never had a chance to become a principal of big high school, like your Alhambra High School, Crenshaw High School, Roosevelt High School. Those big high schools was always hidden in those tiny little small schools, back somewhere in the west side or the south side. So I joined my colleagues, mainly minority women, but more Asian, Chinese or Asian, Japanese school principals. And guess what? We filed a consent decree. You know what a consent decree is?
Right. No.
It's like a lawsuit, right? Yeah.
Oh.
Right. It's
lawsuit.
before that, it's just like, hey, let's have a deal. Really, we should be promoted just like anybody else based on our competence. And it's an equity issue. And that kind of paved the way to now the sweetness is that promotion is based on competence and equity. And many of us, Asian Americans and minority women, we are manning those big schools, high schools, elementary school, complex schools, magnet school, whatever schools. So that's where, experience about bitter and sweet. And certainly, my experience would say, yes, I captured the American dream. And I hope you did too.
Yes.
So,
I've been in America just 2.5 years, so I don't really know much about capturing the American dream, but I'm going for it. My parents always said that America is the land where dreams become true. You can become whatever you want. The social ladder is climbable. Back in my country, if you were poor, you didn't have a lot of opportunities. Here, I see people always striving to give opportunities and education even to people who can't get it. So I think I'm really grateful to be in this country. And it's really inspiring hearing your story. You arrived with just $100 as a teenager. I spent $100 in like a weekend.
no. $100 in the 60s, mucho dinero, okay? That time.
I see.
But, and where you learn your English? 2.5 years? Because when I came, my English is just really poquito, right? Anyway.
Yes, I would say I came from a well-off background. My parents weren't really rich, but they scrapped together a living. They worked really hard so that my brother and I could go to an international school, which is basically a school where they taught both our curriculum, Burmese curriculum, and they taught us English as well. So that's where I got my English. I've been speaking it my whole life. Some, like my relatives, my aunts, my brother would say that I excel at it even more than my original language, Burmese, right? And sometimes I find that very true. For example, like just a week ago, I had trouble saying triangle in Burmese, and I had to ask my aunt. So yeah, that's where I got my English skills from, and I'm grateful for it. Grateful for my parents for working really hard and allowing us to get to a good school.
And so, where are your parents now, Kevin?
Well, my parents are visiting our home country, Burma, currently, and they have a business there, a dental clinic, and they run it, and they try really hard to run the business because they have to have money to support us for higher education. And they always stress that too. You have to try hard or our money won't be of value and all our efforts would be in vain. And I try my hardest to make sure that they're proud of me. Yeah.
Oh, that is very interesting that, I would say all three of us kind of conditioned to our own Asian culture, right? Study hard, be frugal, climb that ladder, make sure you have a good education, and just keep going. So, I have two sons, I would say. They're both born in the United States. And they're very different. But you two seems to be pretty much, are you marching in the same step?
Oh, no, we're not. I want to be a surgeon in the future. He wants to be a scientist, and why you could say it's pretty much the same career path. His is more of finding new things, and I want to be a surgeon so I can help people. That's my career pathway. But even personality-wise, I would say we're pretty different. You could ask our friends. And we like different things as well. He plays the guitar. I play the piano. He likes coding. I can't stand it. And just different things like that. We have different personalities. But, we don't even look alike right now. He's wearing glasses. But, yes. But, of course, we came from the same background. And we're made from the same DNA. So, of course, there'll be similarities.
Well, my sons are all, they grow up together, the same DNA, same house, same food, same rice, same school, same teachers. But they were just a world different. So that's why, when people say, oh, not only Asian American, they lump us together, even say my two boys, they were so different. Oh, I'm sorry that we went on.
Oh, no, I always enjoy the conversation. As we reflect on Asian American Pacific Islander Month, a question for all three of you is, what is the hardest part for you? What has been the hardest part of merging Asian culture with American culture?
Like I said earlier, that since I came in age 17, I'm already conditioned into a more traditional culture with certain habits, such as, the difficulty in making eye contact, such as fear of speaking back. You actually fear laughing because smile meaning disrespect. And of course, you just keep quiet and you don't complain. And that has been for a while, I would say my first 5-6 years, when I first get here. But, I was very, very blessed. Like I say, whether it was the farm workers, the Latinos, whether it was the UCLA students, whether it was, in the district, all my colleagues, principals, I always have very good mentor. And I'm always given the opportunities to participate in, conversation, and also, in not debate, that's not my thing, but also, public speaking. And the best of all is I have had years and years of experience working in Chinese restaurants. Well, of course, you have to speak, and serve your customers, and I learned those social skills. So because of that, I would imagine that, being a school teacher, being a school principal, and then I'm now able to lead the LACO board meeting pretty well. So I believe that I balance all those fear, but still have the internalized rhythm of when I should just stay calm, when I should really, making sure that I see other people's perspective and looking you at the eyes, yeah. But once in a while, I went back to my old habit. I said, look down, and I had to stop doing that.
Yes, I can relate to that. The talking back part, my parents, once we had a fight over long hair. We last summer we had really long hair, yeah, and we wanted to keep them because we somehow thought they looked amazing. And my parents, they were horrified, so they told us to cut it off, and we're like, no, I want to keep my hair. And we just had this conversation about whether to keep our hair or not. And they were so surprised that we could talk back to them, because that's just not allowed in Asian culture. You're not supposed to talk back to your elders, right? You're supposed to respect them. And that's an important part of our culture, but I feel like it's also something to be overcome. Not saying that you shouldn't respect your elders, but you also have to make your voices and your opinions be heard. In fact, I think that's what I said in my my speech this year in academic decathlon about speaking up despite your fears that your opinions don't matter, because they do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me add on to that. I agree with Kenneth, of course, but I also think that's another difficulty that Asian Americans have to face when immigrating, because, well, one, you're coming in this new world with new values that you have to try to understand and adopt if you want to get accepted. But then you also have relations with traditional values, your heritage, your ancestral beliefs, your family that you have connections to, and you also have to respect those values. So what I sometimes find hard to do is that balancing these values, because I always try to do what I think is right, and sometimes it goes against my family's beliefs, like the example Kenneth said. I often have a bit heated arguments with my parents regarding disobedience. I wouldn't characterize it as disobedience, because what I was doing is trying to understand their perspective by communicating with them, but they don't see it that way because that's just not their way of thinking. And I believe that is a bit of a challenge for immigrants, because you're getting so many new values that challenge your old ways of thinking, and you're trying to figure out what to do. And I believe that can be quite a bit difficult.
So let me add one more thing, okay? So besides trying to balance the value that pretty much ingrained into you, or you're bringing up, with, now in the American society, with your peer groups, right, with your friends, but you also have to balance within your family. And for me, as a grandma with 2 sons born in USA, with 5 grandkids born in USA, okay, all Asian Americans from Boston to LA. So intergenerational, I believe that communication is also important. Not that, I'm the grandma and God, my grandson's hair was just laying all on the shoulder. Exactly. I don't know why last year all the boys love to have longer hair than girls.
That was us.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, true.
That was us.
And then this year, they all cut it to like a mushroom on top of their head, right? Now, the thing is, of course, I, as a grandparent, and my husband is even more conservative, and my son, my daughter-in-law, always went after the kids about that. And being an educator, I say, wait, stop back, stop. Because, you got into an argument, you got into this nagging, right? To a point that you say, look, that's a style, Grandma. That's a style, Mom. Come on, just give us a break. It's also, you need to help us, the older generation, to understand that, Yes, it's not the acceptance of the style, but what's wrong with having long hair, right? What's wrong? And my granddaughter too, Grandma. I said, are you showing your belly button again? She said, well, what's wrong with showing my belly button? Grandma, in old China, I read about it, that all those very, very wealthy families, they have little J's that they put into their belly button for the rich people. Actually, Grandma, that's thousands of years ago. You guys love to decorate your belly button. Oh, okay. So this is really the intergenerational. We need to have that kind of communication, and we have to kind of reflect not just the change, but for the entire family to kind of come into a generation. You cannot leave your parents behind. You cannot leave your grandparents behind. And then, of course, you're working and dealing with your peers.
We've been talking about some of the challenges that you faced. I think there's also a lot of misconceptions that are out there about Asian American heritage. What are some of those that you would like to dispel?
Well,
Well,
you're more reason.
well, maybe not heritage, but stereotype that I would like to dispel about Asian Americans is that we're born with the innate ability to calculate math, with the ability and precision of Einstein. Yeah, that's just not true. I would say I'm decent in math, but that's only because my parents, they forced me to do math like almost every day since I was young. And when I'm talking to my friends, Asian Americans who live here, I found out that much of their story is the same. It's that their parents, or because they themselves did math like an abnormal amount of times and just practice and practice. And I just would like to say this to honor like all the Asian Americans who try their best, but whose achievements are sometimes dismissed from them as mere inheritance, because I believe that's just not true at all.
Yeah, looking for on the other side, there's Asian Americans who struggle with math, and they get discriminated because people start pointing at them and they're like, "You're Asian. Why are you not good at math?" That's totally contradictory, and like it's not something we're born with. It's something we had to learn. It's you could argue it's part of our culture, but really, it's because we practice math that we became good at math. And there's some Asian Americans who really struggle with that because they're struggling, but people aren't willing to help them because they're Asian and they're supposed to be good at math, And there's just this discriminatory practice that's really ugly.
Yeah, I'm not good at math. But I still know how to ask questions at the legal board meeting, right?
Very, very much so, yes.
So, I mean, the whole notion that Asian Americans, we're model minority, and we're the quiet minority, and we're good in math and science. So being a teacher, when, I taught Americans, Asian American students, when I saw that many of the Asian American students are not necessarily good in math, are not necessarily, good in science, that they get ignored because, don't worry about it, they'll get it. Just like, just give them time. And especially if they are just recent immigrants or the English learners or they're refugees, that they are just already ignored because the whole notion that they are going to get it and it's in their DNA, and you just don't have to serve them or help them out with the math because don't worry about it. They'll get it. Their parents will help them, right?
Yes. Let me add on to that. Because everyone's stereotyping Asian Americans into math and science, sometimes some Asian Americans feel like that's the only way their life can go. Like, if they don't get a math major or a science major, a STEM major, they feel like they're not going to be successful. And I have to say, our culture is sometimes the culprit of this. Sometimes we fail to recognize the diversity of our group. And really, America, again, is a land of dreams, right? You're supposed to chase and do what you want to do, not what society tells you to do. Not because they expect you to be good at math. You don't have to go into mathematics. You can be a dancer, a singer, you can be anything. And it would be nicer to see more Asian American participation in these other fields rather than math and science in general, because I feel like we're restricted to that certain career path. And Perhaps I'm
Yeah.
not qualified to speak because I'm going on a
No,
science
no,
path.
no, please.
But yes, that's what I think of the
Yeah.
situation.
But that's what you enjoy, right?
I
The
love
science,
science.
yeah,
It's
okay.
it's fascinating, but I recognize that some other people won't find it as fascinating as I do, and I'll feel bad if they're just shuttled into this career pathway.
Well, you also wrote a beautiful speech and delivered a beautiful speech for the academic decathlon. So you're multifaceted.
Thank you.
Right, you can have more than one pathway, okay?
Exactly.
Or you can change. And this is the beauty about United States, that the society adapt with you if you know how to position yourself. I mean, for me, of course, the reason that I was able to pass math when I came here to community colleges and UCLA is because in the old country, the schools made us learn math, right? And drill and kill, right? Drill
That's
and
true.
kill.
Yes.
So coming here, gee, I can close my eyes and do algebra, right? And algebra 2, geometry, trigonometry. Didn't we all went through that, right? So, and for me, I think, was not interested in the science or the math. In fact, the American nuns used to kind of hit me on my knuckles. I could memorize some of these equations. But then I decided to major in French and Spanish. Now, Spanish is natural. Remember that I picked fruit for a whole year. I learned that from Spanish. And I did graduate in a world language major. Then, of course, I'm pretty much like to be active. And so my destination was going to work for FBI or CIA. No, I got 5 languages going for me, right? Why not? That would be fantastic.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But of course, that's barrier. Don't forget, I no paper. You can't do that. This is a government job. But then guess what? I found the passion in teaching, especially teaching students with autism. They have no language, nothing. I use sign language, body language, whatever language. So you never know that you say you're going to go to science because the worlds keep changing. Later on, the science can be part of arts, can be part of other humanities that you need to prepare yourself to be a wholesome student.
Yeah.
Following kind of along the conversation, what advice would you give to Asian American students who may be struggling with their identity or even discrimination?
As the students.
I would say it's important to surround yourself with good people, and I think we've heard stories of how you're not really self-made because you're supported and helped by everyone along the way. And if you're surrounded by good people, then you'll be good, right? And I think it's important, especially as an Asian American, to surround yourself with people who are open-minded, with people who are willing to help you, to be there for you whenever you need help with discriminatory practices. And having that friend group, being surrounded by good people will help you not feel excluded from the rest of society and will help you feel appreciated.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
And Kenneth and I were just talking about this the other day. We were incredibly lucky to join academic decathlon in our school because they're just people who are endlessly supportive and they don't discriminate at all. And when they listen, they actually listen to you and they don't see you as Asian or as whatever race. They see you as a person and they don't judge, they accept. And I feel like having that type of support is really essential. And I feel really lucky to have that kind of net to fall back on, that kind of community.
I just love those shares. I mean, I think so highly of academic decathlon as a program, but I hadn't thought so much about just the family that's built around you and just being around good people that care about you and how important that is. That's awesome.
Yeah, we call ourselves a second family because of how much time we spend with each other preparing for the competition.
And caring about each other
Yes.
and supporting each other.
Yes, and it's a very diverse group, so, you have friends from all different, background, friends from, different, upbringing. And I want to go back and add to what, Kenneth, you earlier said about this haircut thing again. I think it's important for adults, we step back and say, look, first of all, it's important for you to accept your feeling. You feel that you want to have the longer hair, then you have to be very honest with yourself. And that's why I don't push my grandson. My grandson said, Grandma, I really like the long hair. Look, I look at myself in the mirror. I look good in long hair. So you should be able to say that. But Asian American students tend to be just, oh, well, or not answer or not rebuttal. Not rebuttal, but just communicate. Accept that and speak up that this is what you want. Don't be afraid to speak up. That's what you want. And then, of course, share your perspective. And in sharing the perspective, you never know. You can change each other's perspective. People who just have a special feeling about, all Asian American kids will wear glasses now. Look at that. And come on, that's another thing, right? And some of us, back to my grandkids again, they say, oh, I better take off my glasses. So what's wrong with you? Can you see? You gotta make sure you can see, right? Yes. So, just absolutely be true to your feeling and don't be afraid to speak up and don't be afraid to change others' perspective. And if not, it's not gonna kill you. It's okay. You want to have long hair, you want to wear your glasses, you do, my granddaughter have the belly button, fine. Be it.
Well, and what can schools and communities do to work together to support in creating more inclusive cultures and environments for Asian American students?
Alhambra High, it's a great school.
Yeah. I think maybe having more clubs that celebrate our heritage and like do things like go to those restaurants or go to Asian events. I think that would be pretty cool. Of course, it's the students that have to make that happen since it's going to be a club. Besides that, I also wish that the schools had integrated more foreign language courses into the curriculum because when I first got here, the available courses were Spanish, Chinese, and Japanese. There's no Burmese in there, so
or Korean. Really.
I wanted to take Burmese because I thought that's gonna be an easy class, but I also think but I also think it's it might be essential, especially for second generation Asian Americans, because learning the language, I feel like it's a very good way to connect with your culture, because I've read and I've heard stories of people going back to their home country and not knowing their language and feeling isolated from their own families. And I believe that offering more courses will both increase awareness about ourselves and also it'll promote diversity. And I believe it's a good idea.
Let me add on to that. I also think it'll be beneficial to have more Asian American experience in the literature or the history that we read. So maybe in maybe in U.S. history, we'll have maybe more accounts of Asian American experiences. In literature, maybe we'll read a book written by an Asian American about their experiences integrating identity. And I think having these little steps towards education will help us feel more included and appreciated in this country. And that's always important, right? To recognize the diversity of this very diverse group of Asian Americans.
Well, you two are right on. Okay, right on. Because in the school, you have to listen to the students, what you need. And then, of course, the teachers need the training. Don't forget, teachers are the one who's going to be facilitating the learning and interacting with you. So definitely, in order for us to have more inclusive environment, teachers need the professional development. The professional development in not just having the knowledge base, but actually have the disposition. It's in their skin, it's in their heart on how to integrate the Asian American culture, your family, cultures, or have speakers, integrates those, when it's appropriate, when opportunity arrives, integrate those learning, like you say, literature, the arts, into the various curriculum. And that will make it meaningful. That will be very exciting for you. And so far as I keep saying the world is really getting smaller, do you have to sing that song too? So anyway, I just came back escorting 20 of my students to China. And, just being able to have exchange experiences that schools can sponsor, it will really be very beneficial.
Kevin said something that just really resonated with me related to kind of celebrating culture. And, we're talking about this in Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Mm-hmm. And even the name alone talks about all the different cultures that there are. So, kind of as we wrap up and close, what is something that you would advise people to do this month? One thing that they can take, one step they can take that would further an inclusive culture in their schools and communities?
I think just go talk to someone new, experience the diversity that the school environment, or really any environment, has to share. Because as I found out, there's so many different people with their own life stories and their own cultures. And you can learn a lot just by having the patience and the will to sit down and talk to someone new. And that can be a life-changing experience.
That's awesome.
I agree. Besides that, I also think this is the month to really dig into your own heritage, to talk to perhaps your parents or your relatives, and to really discover your own origins. Because really, as Asian Americans, we are part of two worlds. And since we live here, we're very in contact with the American part, but I'm not sure if we are in that same contact with our Asian counterpart. So I believe this is the month to maintain that contact, because it's very important that we stay connected to our cultures.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah. So May, the month of May, is just really the blossoming, most very important month, of course, for Asian American heritage. And if you think back, Asian American, Pacific Islanders, your Native Hawaiians, we made tremendous contribution to the history of this lovely, brave, free country. But then it's a history of tremendous amount of struggles and setbacks that the newer generation may not know. And of course, we overcome, right? We overcome. So it is important that this month, and actually should be every day of the week for me, is for us to really learn, research back in all of these struggles that we have overcome. And that, that we have contributed to this country. But meanwhile, also reflect on I would say potentially still some hate crimes going on, and be ready to combat, come together, have the network, the discriminatory, actions that sometimes we are not, a lot of people are not aware of. And that's what I think we should do every day of the week for any culture, any ethnic group.
I just feel so privileged to be here at this table doing this podcast with the three of you. I feel like I'm surrounded by wisdom today. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Chan, Kenneth, and Kevin, for joining us and your insights and your words today.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you
just
for
really
having us.
fun. It's a
Yeah.
big pleasure. And I will see you two twins soon, next year,
Hopefully.
on your way to college. And I'm sure that you will be a leader in our community.
For more information, including resources on Asian American Heritage Month, visit lacoe.edu. See you next time.
Please follow the Los Angeles County Office of Education on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Los Angeles COE. That's Los Angeles COE. Or you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn at Los Angeles County Office of Education.